All right, good evening. My name is Dylan Ornelas, and I would like you all to take a moment, picture in your head, the year's 2040, and you have a kid, and the kid wants to go to college, and guess what? The kid gets to go to college for free. And just that dream that you have in your head was the same dream President Obama gave in his address to the Union, which brings up my opponent's major claim, Robert. President Obama's plan for free community college education will do little to improve our economy. Three of his claims were: community college is insufficient to give students quality education, community college is a bad way to increase the skilled labor workforce, and free community college will result in a higher national debt. My three counterclaims are exactly the opposite. Community college is sufficient to give students quality education. Community college is a great way to increase the skilled labor workforce, and free community college will not result in higher national debt. So for Robert's first claim, he made the claim that community college is insufficient when it comes to quality education. However, he did not give any facts or any statistical data suggesting or supporting his claim, thus making his whole first subclaim invalid. He also tried to correlate that community college will not give students quality education because their classes are too full. Again, he did not give any facts for this. Matter of fact, I found in a later subclaim that he gave a counter fact. He said, according to Kevin Strange, professor of a public university at Michigan, a reduction of education in $1,000 would only increase the enrollment by 5%. Thus saying that even if you lower the amount or give free college to these kids, the actual rates of people going aren't going to increase by that much. So making that small counterclaim that the university is not going to be that much more full than it already was. And still, there was no facts given that a full school means bad quality education. I found some facts on my own. According to Program for International Student Assessment, PISA, the U.S. was ranked in the top 2/3 of the world, pointing out that our education system is on par with the means of other education systems around the world, suggesting that community colleges are doing their part in putting up students to the higher four-year colleges. And another point that I'd like to, or another claim, or another fact that I'd like to point out is Dr. Joe Biden, longtime college professor of 19 years, stated that community college is a way to connect the dots. Not only do people go to community college for their associates, but they also go to for certifications, which brings up my next subclaim and also counterclaim of Roberts. Community college is a great way for producing a skilled labor workforce. It's a well-known fact that most degrees take longer time than it is to get an actual certificate. According to the Job Research Center, some of the high-paying certificate courses pay over $100,000 after completion. Some of these go with security manager, program manager, and other certificates like medtechs, final advisors, and website designers. So if you had 10% of the 5.6 currently unemployed able to go to community college to grab certifications, it would significantly help the skilled labor workforce. My third and final point is a contradictory point to Robert's statement that free education will not increase the national debt. What Robert failed to mention is that Obama's proposed education system will be backed by federal funding, 2/3 by the feds and 1/3 by the state. This has a big importance because that 2/3 from the Fed will come from taxes and not from the government. So we'll get taxed more, but the government's not going to go more national debt. To make the correlation that free school will hurt the economy is subpar. According to the BBC News, multiple countries have free education on all levels, and none of these countries are leading as debt as the U.S. In review, community college is sufficient to give students quality education. Community college is a great way to increase the skilled labor workforce, and free community college will result in higher taxes, but not more national debt. Altogether, the Free Community College Act proposed by Obama will only benefit the U.S. to keep it on track as one of the leading developed countries in the world. Thank you.
All right, well, the opening is good with the visualization. Then you've got a good label of the advocate's claims and secondary claims, but then we get a second preview of your own claims. I think it would make more sense if you just say, here's what the advocate argued, let's talk about those individual points, and then present your counterclaim on those particular points instead of giving us a preview of a parallel second speech. That's a little bit awkward. On the first point, you've got a clear signpost. You challenged the lack of evidence that the advocate had on that particular point. I thought that was pretty reasonable. The argument about enrollment, I think, is a little bit unclear how that really applies to the issue that the advocate's talking about there. The counter evidence that you had on one point, did you say we're in the top 2/3 of the world? That doesn't sound all that impressive. I'm sorry. Out of 100 countries, we're number 60. Top 2/3 though. That's a good deal. I'm sure that there's a reason that information is being used, but I don't think it helps you very much there. The information though that kind of leads you into the second point. In fact, I think that evidence that you have from the vice president's wife ought to go into that second point rather than being in the earlier point, and that's basically about the job skills thing. And she's talking about how this people connect the dots and they go there and they find these other kinds of technical types of things. And you're talking about certification programs, some data about how frequently community colleges provide those certification programs would be helpful. There's just tons of stuff that says they do a lot of that kind of stuff. That's a lot of people go there. That's how we get people who do air conditioning and plumbing and construction and all the other things that you mentioned, security and web development and that kind of stuff. So to me, that seems like a no-brainer. I think your argument could have been a little bit stronger on that, but you did explain it. And there's a little bit of contrast to what the advocate talked about. On the third point on the debt issue, the proposal, having followed it a little bit, they've kind of changed around exactly how they're paying for things and what they're going to do, and they've withdrawn one idea and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a mishmash. I do like the idea of contrasting this system to other places where, look, they managed to provide free education to college and university students in a lot of countries in the world. They're having some kind of success. This is an attempt to take a step in that direction. Those countries are not known for their debt. Our debt problems have more to do with something else rather than our attempt to try and get people into college institutions. That might be a good way to go on that. All right, thank you.